screenshot. Charlie Kirk screenshot is now screenshot is now So Erika Kirk actually Erika Kirk. When Erika's wife is saying full steam ahead.
Hey, welcome to this episode of The Soul Trap, and today we are talking about Erika Kirk. Not Charlie Kirk, but Erika Kirk, but I guess in a roundabout way we are talking about Charlie Kirk. You know, the assassination of a prominent public figure is always a traumatic event, not only for family and friends, but when it's a public figure, for the wider public that followed that public figure's life. When the person killed occupies a prominent place, not just a prominent place, but frankly, a polarizing place in national politics, the aftermath often becomes charged with speculation, moral judgment, rumor, and deep disagreement over the meaning and motive. And in such environments, surviving family members, especially spouses, can find themselves thrust into the public eye in ways that are unprecedented, emotionally overwhelming, and frankly, relentlessly scrutinized. You know, it's very easy to stand in judgment until you put yourself in that person's shoes. I believe it was Atticus who spoke to Scout in HarperCollins's book, To Kill a Mockingbird, that says you need to walk in somebody else's skin for a little while to understand what they're going through. And it's so very easy in our lives to be able to look across the fence and go, well, why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? I would do that. I would do this. But you don't know until you're in that position. And of course, the media, social media, big, classical media, they have a way of framing things. We get snippets here and there. And so, frankly, there is a lot of confusion. And if you were a high public figure and your spouse passed away, much as happened, or not passed away, I should say was assassinated, much as happened to Charlie Kirk, it's very easy to immediately jump on the bandwagon and go, Erika Kirk did this, she should have done that, she shouldn't have done this. But you're not her, you weren't in that situation. So it's easy to be critical. However, sometimes, though you try to be patient and try to use restraint, there are things there that maybe don't demand criticism, but do demand questioning. Now, following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, attention quickly focused not only on the crime itself and a search for justice, but also on his widow, Erika Kirk. Now, let's pause there for just a moment, and I want to say that when attention was focused on her, I don't know that that is a fair statement to say without bringing in some clarity, because it was not just that attention was focused on her as if she was a hapless recipient of that. Attention was focused on her because she was thrust in the limelight. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but whoever or however she was put into the limelight, that's something for us to debate. But the fact of the matter is, attention was focused on her because she was in the limelight and in the frame of attention. Now, as she assumed a public role in the days and weeks following the death, observations and observers across media platforms begin asking questions. Some sympathetic, others critical, and still others speculative. These questions range from the pace of her public appearances, to her leadership role at TPUSA, to her handling of conspiracy theories, to more personal matters involving faith, relationship, her physical appearance, and her connections with other foreign government and entities. Now, as we come to this show, we're going to try to explore, hopefully from a neutral and analytical standpoint, the questions and controversies that have surrounded Erika Kirk in the aftermath of her husband's assassination. It does not, and we are not trying to argue guilt, we're not trying to assign wrongdoing, or even pronounce an absolute law of the Medes and Persians on hidden motives, nor do we attempt to even validate rumors or conspiracy theories. What we are trying to do is simply do what we do here at the Soul Trap, and that is say or ask, why? Why are these questions coming up? What people have said and how modern media environments amplify certain behaviors and interpretations. Is it fair to extrapolate from what we're seeing certain realities? What are the causes that are producing the effects? The goal here is to understand the social dynamics, the connectivity dynamics. Is it possible that grief, politics, celebrity, and the internet all simply have come together to make some kind of a gumbo emotional soup that we're just responding to? Or is it possible that there is something more? Is it possible that where there's smoke, there's fire? Now, I know it's very easy to jump on Facebook and go, well, she's this, well, she's that, well, she's this. But I think that makes us look silly. I think it makes us look unintelligent. We're not here to try to create dots. We're here to connect the dots. Where there are no dots, we go on our way. But when we see dots, then we have to pause and ask, is there a connectivity? When it comes to Erika Kirk, when it comes to Charlie Kirk's assassination, when it comes to government entities, Candace Owens, TPUSA, right-wing, Christian nationalism, and the nation of Israel, there sure seems to be a lot of dots. Well, we're going to talk about that on today's show. I'm here with you. I've got Kevin here with you of the Soul Trap, and we're going to discuss this. Kevin, did I set the stage right? Do you think that there's at least enough dots for us to be thinking along the lines that, I don't know, man, something is weird about Erika Kirk? What say you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's too many dots. I'm uncomfortable with how many dots there are to connect.
Yeah. So I think originally when you and we did an early on show with Andrew Tucker.
Yeah.
And early on, and we have caught flack here at the Soul Trap because we've not really dove deep into the assassination theories and construct of Charlie Kirk, which we're going to in the future. But we've intentionally tried to, I wouldn't say steer clear of it, but tried to focus on the main thing and not get lost in the minutia of it. Because frankly, if we're just honest about it, conspiracy theories now are a dime a dozen, and it's big business. It's all about getting the next hit, the next like, the next person listening to your podcast. And we're all about a pursuit of truth, not a pursuit of followers. But I said all that to say we've tried to steer clear, but man, it's hard to not go, dude, this is weird. This is weird. Yeah. Let's review just a little bit, and I've got some notes here, but let's go back. The Charlie Kirk assassination, a profound spiritual moment, I believe, in the history of our nation, at least within my lifetime. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's been a death of somebody that's been as spiritually powerful, palpable as Charlie Kirk. But right off the bat, we started looking for the perpetrator. That came into question. We started looking for deeper causes. That came into question. We started looking for hidden enemies. That has come into question. Now you start looking for these symbolic, esoteric meanings. That has come into question. When you look back now, separated from it, what stands out to you about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and that whole time itself?
I don't know. Well, to me, like you said, this is probably one of the single biggest events of our lifetime that had the most impact and influence outside of 9/11. But 9/11 was on such a larger scale; it was hard to connect. To it. This was a single person that we all, on the right, on the conservative right, Christian conservative right, could identify with.
Yeah.
So it did impact. It did have a specific impact on a lot of us.
Oh yeah.
But from the get go, I don't know if it's because we have too much access to media right off the bat that we can't take I think I have an inability to take facts that come off right off the cuff of something that happens. I just can't accept that. Maybe that's to my fault. Maybe I've been conditioned to not believe the things that come across the news right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we've talked before. We talked with Brother Tucker there. I'm not a firearms expert like he is, You know,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the entrance wounds and exit wounds of the 30-06, and I just the whole thing was just weird. to
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Let me ask you. We'll pan back out in a minute.
Right.
But why do you think it is, Kevin, that, and I'm the same way, why do you think it is? Is it because we're just a soul trap? Why do you think it is that we don't, the initial thing is, I don't believe that. I'm going to tell you, that was my initial, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that a kid crawled up there, first time he's ever been up there, first time he ever fired a live round, one shot, one kill, you know, with the 30-06, it didn't go through all that. I mean, why is it that we just
Yeah.
don't believe that stuff?
I'll tell you to step into more of a spiritual standpoint for me, being saved in October of 2009, up until that point, I did take things at face value.
Yeah.
I had no real comprehension or understanding, or to be honest, I could care less about the spiritual world or anything up until that point. 9/11 was 9/11.
Yeah.
It was Arabs, it was Muslims that flew a plane into the building. That's exactly what happened because that's what the news told me.
Yep.
It was then when I heard the truth and I got saved, I gave my life over to Jesus, that I started to realize I've been fed a bunch of lies up until this point into my life.
Yes.
What else? Who else is lying to me? And you start to look at it, you're like, well, it's the media. It's that. Did we go to the moon? What actually happened on 9/11? You know, who's controlling the things behind the scenes? And I think it's just spiraled. Maybe not spiraled. I believe it's a managed descent into the madness.
Managed descent. I love that line.
Conspiracy theory.
So I'm going to take it a step further. I think, you know, from a Christian perspective, a world view, the Bible says the entrance of thy word giveth light.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take it a step further. I think it's not just, that was 2009. I think it's not just that it's a saved thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the world itself is becoming more spiritualized. And I'm using that word exactly like that, spiritualized. Obviously, the lost man or woman is not going to be understanding of dispensational truth, the rapture, you know, all these things like that. But I think whether it's science and its pursuit of quantum physics, the Hadron Collider, we've talked a lot about that. Whether it's Hollywood more and more and more and more, whether it's the Jeffrey Epstein, whether it's the sex magic and the spirit cooking things that come out. I mean, I just think that the world has become more spiritualized. And because of that, there is in some instances, a doubting of what you see. In some instances, there is this feeling out there then that there's more to what we're seeing. And then after a while, you start these lies start compounding to where you don't trust anything because given enough time, the official narrative breaks down, you know? And I think that's exactly what has happened. That was exactly what happened with, now I actually do think, and I don't want to dive off too far, but I do think that there's enough smoke there for there to be some kind of fire about the assassination itself.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you the hardest thing for me to swallow, and this is really going to pivot into Erika Kirk. You know, when you look at them on paper, the picture of them, I'm going to start by saying I believe that Charlie Kirk was a Christian man. I believe Charlie Kirk was a sincere man. I believe Charlie Kirk was a dangerous man. I think Charlie Kirk very well could have been president or vice president 2028, which would have been unacceptable to the elites, absolutely unacceptable. But I think that Charlie Kirk was Caesar surrounded by a Senate that wanted him dead, and he just didn't know it. To what degree, I don't know. To what degree that plot was directed or responded, I don't know. But I think he was a good man. But he was surrounded by a lot of people that are not good people. And they are conservative. And that's something that it pains me to say because I like to win, right? And I like conservative values. But the right is, in my opinion, they're wicked as hell.
Yeah.
They might be right conservatively, but there's something vile there. And one of the things that began to bother me more so than the actual assassination, which I was profoundly bothered by, is Erika Kirk. And let's start, and I'm not trying to pick her apart, but I'm going to tell you when it first hit me when I went, ooh. It was the ick moment, and here it is. When they brought Charlie Kirk's body back in the casket, and they had a video, and I believe it was filmed with a phone. I'd have to double check. But when it was filmed and she was in there and you could see pictures of his hands and she's crying on the casket and you can hear her verse, Charlie, and that kind of thing. That bothered me.
Yeah.
Did it bother you?
Oh, absolutely.
Did it bother you? Okay, why did that bother us? If it bothered me, it bothers the Soul Trap crowd. I think, frankly, I know people that are not conspiracy people, and they were still like, ugh, that bothered them. What was it about that bothered us?
I can't put my finger on it. I can't explain it. I mean, I haven't been in her situation. I've lost loved ones close to me, and I know how I reacted. I've seen other people lose loved ones close to them and seen how they reacted, and her reaction just seemed strange. But again, I'm not a trained person in front of media. I don't have that pressure, so I tried to give the benefit of the doubt as much as I possibly could to that.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I can't explain that one moment with the body. What was so odd about it?
It was a feel. Now listen, you can go right around the other way and say, there you can come up with some different caveats to it. The first thing, I'll tell you what stood out to me about it, is that it felt staged.
Yeah.
It did not feel organic. It did not feel, and maybe we'll put the clip up. Maybe you can go back and look at it, but it just didn't feel organic. But number two, I think the second thing is it felt strangely inappropriate. Strangely inappropriate. You are the spouse of someone that you love who literally was just butchered on live TV. Your children are destroyed. Your family, you're destroyed. You have not, this is the first time you've seen your spouse now. You saw your spouse on live TV get shot. Boom. Everything's over. Your world is undone. Devastated. They fly the body back in the casket, and your first encounter, someone says, let's video this. Wait, and not for posterity. Let's publish it ASAP.
Yeah.
A, I want to know who came up with the idea. B, I want to know, how that was, how did that come across? And you're going to do that. And it was rapid, man. It was like right after. And I think that brings us to a point that we need to discuss a little bit, because that's the point that comes out, is the public perception of timing. I wrote down here, many observers have expressed surprise at the speed with which she has appeared at events, given speeches, engaged with the media. In ordinary circumstances, grief is expected to involve withdrawal, silence, privacy. When those expectations are not met, people often interpret the devastation or the deviation from the norm as being meaningful. Now, some people would say, well, as a Christian, we sorrow not even as others which have no hope. That's true, but you still sorrow.
Yeah.
You still sorrow. Some critics have framed her visibility as evidence that she was too public too soon, while others have simply just said, man, she's a political machine. It's nothing but political calculation and institutional necessity. But it all happened so fast. And even you can't call it a funeral, the memorial service, the celebration. It was just odd. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? And we're tying several events together now here, but it was one after the other after the other.
For me, I would, if I had to put my last wishes, if something were to happen to me, I would want my wife to take time, go with the children, just be with the kids.
Yeah.
And that one of the most standout things was following this that I've noticed there was a lot of husbands were like, well, give her the benefit of a doubt. You know, she's like, she has to do these things. But a lot of the wives who I know were like, that's not right.
That's not right.
I couldn't stand and do that. There'd be no way 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months following that they would be able to stand up and to give a speech, maybe come out and say a few words, but probably not come on stage with fireworks.
There is a big difference, isn't there? There's a big difference between the way Jacqueline Kennedy operated and the way Erika Kirk operated.
The knowledge of the affection in which my husband was held by all of you has sustained me, and the warmth of these tributes is something I shall never forget. Whenever I can bear to, I read them.
That's a huge difference. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I know that there's a different generation, different social media expectations, things like that, but that was an odd thing. That was an odd thing. And so I think that the speed, I'm going to use a phrase here, the showmanship. I mean, the memorial in some ways was amazing. As you look back on it too, though, in some ways you're like, fireworks?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a reason why the internet explodes with memes. Like I know there's the one where, what's his name, Gangnam or whatever, gets launched up out of the platform.
Yeah.
You know, and so they've AI put her in there. Well, there's a reason why that. Yeah. Because I mean, she's laughing and joking, and you're like, wow, okay, maybe you're just that much spiritually stronger than everyone else. Because look, I know that I've been a part of Christian funerals before, and there is a celebration, there is a joy. Man, there's not a show.
No.
That's what it felt like. Yeah. So you can maybe discount the show and say, okay, well, maybe that's just a political creature. But then the problem that you run into is you start scratching below the surface as to who Erika Kirk is. Yes. Now that becomes problematic. Bring us up to speed on what we know about who Erika Kirk is. Who is she?
Well, she is somebody, and I'm gonna give credit to YouTuber JP Sears. He said that I watched one of his videos on this, and he said that she has just been very attention seeking basically her entire almost adult life, even up until now, from reality TV shows to modeling and Miss America, Miss Arizona, to all these things that she's been very attention seeking, and that is still actually going on today. I agree with that statement 100%. Now, I'm not making any statement of whether or not she was behind this or not. You know, I can't make that statement, and I don't know, and frankly, I don't want to believe that she is behind what took place. Yeah. But when you start to look at some of the videos, some of the interviews that she's done, some of the inconsistencies and stories of how her and Charlie met, what their first date was, who she was before they got together, her going on a talk show saying that she didn't date for the 5 years that she lived in New York City before she met Charlie. Yeah. Except you were on a reality dating show during that time, and you were dating somebody. Regardless of you dating somebody before the person you got married to does not matter. But when you go on national TV and say, I didn't do this, except the internet never forgets.
I lived out here. I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
Yes.
And those videos surface. It's like, well, why would you lie about that? Why would you misremember that? I just don't know what is going on behind that. And now she essentially got what she was looking for. You don't go on a reality show just because you want to. Mm-hmm. You go on a reality show because you want to have fame. You want to have fortune. You want to use this as your springboard to go further on in your career. And now she's managing a multi-million-dollar company.
Well, she's at least the face of it now.
Yeah.
She's at least the face of it now. Yeah, it's interesting because you see some of these things show up. I mean, she was Miss America or involved in the Miss America pageant.
You know what's
Sure.
interesting about her Miss America pageant? I believe that was in 2012, and she won Miss Arizona, and then went on to Miss America.
Okay.
When you go on there and you can look, and I saw somebody doing a expose on this. When you go on there, look, they have every contestant from every state on there doing a personal interview, except only one that's missing is Miss Arizona, which was Erika Kirk. Her name wasn't Kirk at that point, because she had some very just odd answers that when you put those side by side, and people can change their views. I've changed my views on things.
Sure.
But you put those side by side with some of the things that Charlie Kirk stood for. I mean, completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So Trump did not own Miss America.
Okay.
He did own, let's see here. He did have a connection and own Miss Universe and Miss USA.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if Erika Kirk was Miss USA or Miss America. I'm not sure. That might have been, but I mean, again, you might be looking for a dot that's not there.
Correct.
But the one thing that we do know is that it's very odd to me, like you said, there's some strangeness there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you look at that being on that reality show, and you can see the clip. I mean, when she's on that reality show and she makes a statement in the video, sex sells.
Yeah.
Give them a cleavage. Then people want cleavage. Showcase it.
And then she kind of under her breath or a little bit says, even though it's not our religion or something like that. I mean, I don't think she's a babe in the woods.
Right.
I mean, I just don't think so. I mean, she seems to be pretty sharp. She seems to be right on it. Her maiden name has a Norwegian background, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look at it. I think her maiden name is, let's see here, what is it?
Starts with an F.
France or something like that. And it's it's Frantzve. It's not necessarily Jewish in origin, but it is Norwegian, Scandinavian. She's never identified as Jewish. She's always really identified as Christian. Some people have argued that it's possibly Catholicism. Candace Owens tried to make the implication, along with Michael Knowles, that Charlie Kirk was moving towards Catholicism. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I do know that the people around Charlie Kirk had a tremendous amount of influence on him. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of Jewish connection around him, but so would I. I mean, as a Christian, that's not necessarily off the pale. What's weird is that Erika, you had that immediate response. It was like really odd. Then you have her coming on, and then as we start scratching the surface, we go, oh, she's not a babe in the woods. She was in that pageant. Background is sketchy. She is on that reality show. I mean, and in other words, she knows how to perform in front of the camera. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The long and the short of it, gang. I mean, there's an art to doing what we're doing here at the Soul Trap, much less doing it in front of several million people in Arizona, much less doing it in front of several millions of people in Miss America or Miss USA, whichever one it was. And then you're going to get on a reality TV show. You now know how to play to the camera.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That you wouldn't be there. They don't cast you unless you know what you're doing. So, man, it definitely is uncomfortable. And then you go, okay, well, how did any town USA, Charlie Kirk and her meet? Mm-hmm. And here's where it gets kind of wonky. The short of it is they met, and we're gonna sound like Candace Owens. They met in Israel.
Yeah.
I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird.
Do we have a lot of information about that? Has she talked a lot about that? Or my understanding was that she was on some kind of religious pilgrimage type of thing, and they met, and yada yada yada. But what do we really know?
Well, I've heard two different versions of how they met. One was they met in Israel, was it, I believe, at an airport, possibly
Okay.
boarding a plane.
Okay.
And the other one was that she was seeking the job at TPUSA, and he interviewed her and realized that he didn't want to hire her because he wanted to date her.
I met Erika for the first time at this office, Turning Point USA office.
So we met at the office opening, the Turning Point headquarters office opening, the first one, August 2018. And I had no idea what to expect because I was coming into the office from the standpoint of they were potentially going to hire me.
Well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Yeah, because there's a lot of different skeptics. Now, there's supposedly celebrity news, which you can always trust celebrity news, will give you a timeline of their backstory. So let's see here if we can get that real quick. 2018. Okay, Erika opened up about her meeting with Charlie in 2023. Instagram post. 5 years ago today, we sat inside Bill's Burger in New York City, deep in conversation and banter over theology, philosophy, and politics. And in the end, you paused, looked at me, and said, "I'm going to date you," she wrote. 5 days after Charlie's death, Erika showed a video of Charlie telling the story to their daughter. It started as a job interview, and then I realized Mama was beautiful and smart and elegant and Christ-like. And so I said, forget this job interview. I want to date you. My favorite love story, Erika captioned the post. Again, it's interesting that you would, again, I guess you could come up with a reason why, but it's interesting you would share this kind of stuff. You know, maybe you're such a public figure. She announced her engagement to Charlie via Instagram with the caption, "When God writes your love story, you get to marry your best friend." So, I mean, they got married in Scottsdale, Arizona, 2021. Charlie's conservative nonprofit organization funded a wedding reception. So it doesn't go, there's, you know, it's kind of odd, it's just really, really odd. Obviously, there's a picture of them in Israel. I can see it right there. You're looking at it. But when they met, how they met is just really, really odd. But I feel like, man, I don't know. I feel like there's just more to the story here. There really, really is. Now, what is it that what is Candace Owens's big shtick about Erika? What do we know what she's arguing about?
I know that she believes that Erika's hiding the truth of what happened to Charlie Kirk. And you know that Candace Owens is very heavy on Jewish influence being the ones behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, what her exact allegations are, I'm unclear at this time.
Well, every once in a while things come out. This is from a news website. A newly leaked audio of Erika Kirk has raised eyebrows over her attitude regarding her husband, Charlie Kirk's death. In the recording, the mother of the two can be heard discussing with her staff the success of TPUSA event and the strong sales of associated merchandise. She then appears to dismiss her husband's death during the discussion while emphasizing harmony between the staff. Can we bring that up and let's see if we can take a look and listen to some of this audio, see some of the, I think there's video that goes along with it. You tell me what you think.
You do need additional time off. Please talk to your director about using paid time off for that. And again, it's not easy, but again, grief is hard. Otherwise, honestly, Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, full steam ahead, you guys. Charlie would want us to get back to work, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we did with the memorial, and I'm so honored and proud of each and every one of you because that's what we're going to do in his honor and in his name. We have so much to do, which is exciting. Charlie in heaven is like, you guys thought you had a busy schedule then, just you wait. We have 300,000 new donors. That is a blessing in itself. Again, not normal, all God. I think we have 50,000 plus hat orders to fulfill. It's weird to say I'm excited. I really hesitate saying that. It's really hard for me to say that. It's a really weird thing to say, but I think it comes from a space of peace, knowing that God's using this, and we're humbly witnessing the gospel in real time.
Okay, so yeah, it's odd. You know, I mean, you can always play devil's advocate and always go, well, she has peace which passeth all understanding. I get that. But, you know, she's like, wow, I didn't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of the century is just insane. I don't know. Your husband literally got shot like a dog on live TV. I mean, and you're calling it an event of the century. I don't know. Those words to me. What'd you say?
Insensitive.
She said, we had 275,000 people that attended and the stadium overflowed. She added, and this is what's weird, I think we're like 200,000 for merch sales. What? I'm sorry, man. That's odd to me.
Yeah.
I mean, merch sales? How do you, what? And then this is what's crazy. This is what, okay, it's the little things that catch my attention. It's one thing to say, and I'm quoting, I think we're at like 200,000 for merch sales. If you put a period there, I would go, that's odd. But it's the next line that really pushes it over the board. Here it is. She says right after that, don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy. So, like, don't quote me on that because we're still making more money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to say a huge thank you, she said. The events team, the development team, the graphic design team, the production team. I mean, that's just not a grieving widow, man. That's a business owner.
Yeah.
Midway through her speech, she urged her staff to resolve any past conflicts among themselves before going on to make the comment about Charlie's death. And then this is what she said. I'm sorry, man. This is weird. My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead. And it puts life into perspective of how short life is and relationships. Okay? Your husband is not dead. He was assassinated.
Correct.
I mean, that's just big, man. I don't know.
Yeah. If something, I feel like I would inject that into everything that I could say if that were to happen to me, that if my wife was assassinated, it would be not she's passed. It would be she was murdered. That would be how I would describe that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. So, I mean, let's go down the rabbit hole even further. Is there a connection, as some people are stressing, between her and who say you?
Yeah, so she actually went onto her Instagram into an old post and muted. So she didn't delete the post, but she muted it. But of course, the internet never forgets.
Timing in my life is perfect for this opportunity. I'm at a great point, just career-wise, to be able to take on this type of endeavor. And I feel like I have something very unique to offer this whole experience in general. Like I said, I'm very coachable, I'm very trainable. And I'm the type of person that I don't need all the time in the world to get ready. If you say you got to be on a plane in a half hour and you have to pack your stuff and go, I'm on it. I'm kind of like a gypsy. I don't mind living out of a suitcase. I'm used to it, and that's something that I'm okay with. So traveling, I love it. I'm all for it. I'm up for anything. I want to learn. I want to be able to use this opportunity and harness all the things that I can learn from it and be able to just inspire people. Like, how cool of a chance it is to be able to work with Diane and her brand. And that's why I want to use this opportunity to inspire, to be able to make a difference and to work with Diane. And
so you hear her in the video mention Diane. The Diane that she is speaking of is Diane von Furstenberg. Diane von Furstenberg is a high-end fashion designer, agent. She is well known and well connected in the world of fashion and entertainment. And she herself, her name appears actually 61 times on the Epstein file list that was just dropped. A lot of that stuff is just things that were forwarded on, maybe some things in footers. But there are a few instances where her, Epstein, Maxwell, and also Diane's son Alexander are all on the same invitation list for parties. You see some Harvey Weinstein, so there's some very interesting connections there. And Jeffrey Epstein would actually go to her son Alexander's fashion shows whenever he was in town, whenever they had one that corresponded at the same time. So there is a connection there. I'm not saying that Erika Kirk had anything to do with any of that, but it's just interesting that she was trying so hard to get into an organization that was connected with Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, so here's another article. You're exactly right. Check this out. The article is actually, to be fair, says, fact check, no evidence of Erika Kirk was a recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein or that she had Charlie Kirk killed. Now, that's okay. Haters gonna hate. But here's what we're getting to. In their expose of saying there's no evidence, to me, there's evidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying proof. I'm saying evidence. Here it is. Is there evidence that Erika Kirk was a recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein? The fact that we would be asking those kind of questions tells us we have gone way, way, way down the rabbit hole. Okay. Or that she had her husband, Charlie Kirk, killed to shut him up about it. No, that's not true. The claim appears to be based on another false claim that Erika Kirk operated as operated charity in Romania that was used for trafficking orphan children internationally. Do we know if she was really connected with that orphanage in Romania?
Yeah, so there is proof that she was linked with a Romanian orphanage. That orphanage was through a nonprofit organization called Everyday Heroes Like You, and they operated the orphanage called Romanian Angels. And what they would do, they would go into these orphanages, these homes, and do activities with the children. They would get Christmas gifts for them and just have like local youth style activities. Now, her organization that she was affiliated with in 2011 had some allegations that Romanian Angels was actually linked to child trafficking networks, and then they were kicked out of Romania. So these drew some concerns, and there actually has been no actual confirmation of anything like that, but those were the rumors circulating about that. And the claim that she is banned from Romania, that's kind of what is popular right now with this, has not been proved by either the U.S. or Romanian officials. But that is what the rumor is online, so
Research.
your guess is
Lead
as good
stories
as mine.
previously researched that claim and found it unfounded. Another possible basis for the claim is that she was a competitor in the Miss USA pageant. Okay, now that brings clarity. It wasn't Miss America. It was Miss USA, which was indeed owned by Trump, who was a friend of Epstein's. I personally believe, and I know this is going to make a lot of you guys angry, I know, but I personally believe that Donald Trump has a deep connection with Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
And that there is a reason why these things aren't being released. Because the powers that be, it's not left and right, it's up and down. Mm-hmm. It's the elite and the non-elite, and the elite across the board are deeply connected. I think it has to do with Jewish infiltration of our government, which that's a whole other line. I think it has to do with sex trade. I think it has to do with sex magic, with Babylon working, with all kinds of weird stuff. But anyway, the possible basis is she was with the Miss USA pageant owned by Trump, who's a friend of Epstein. Some people say that the timeline doesn't really match, but one of the things that's interesting to me, if we're going to really dig down deep, is where is it here? Let's see, where did she go? Oh, she was in 1988. She was born in Ohio in 1988. She was a student at, wait for it now, Notre Dame Preparatory High School in Scottsdale, Arizona in 2005.
Okay.
So she does have Catholic training. Let's see here. Anything else? She was chosen Miss Arizona USA in 2012, owned by Donald Trump. The implication is that there was a connection, but that's about as far as it goes. Speaking on Epstein scandal. Okay, now here's the other thing. Charlie Kirk was speaking out about the Epstein scandal in the months before he was shot in September. In July 2010, in a segment of the Charlie Kirk show, he is critical of President Trump's opposition to the government releasing more documents relating to Epstein's scandal. Some people claim that that was part of the reason why he was shot or behind that. So, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you go, man, there's just a lot of nonsense there. Yeah. A lot of nonsense there. And Candace Owens, I mean, for all of her craziness, some of this stuff is just funky weird, man. It's just funky weird. And I don't know anybody that looks at some of the stuff that she does and goes, man, that's perfectly normal. And especially now with the leaked audio. The leaked audio and video of her talking about the merch sales, the video of her talking about sex sales, it all goes back. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what are the conclusions? What do we draw from this? What do we walk away from? Are there any conclusions? Or I will say this, I don't believe that Erika Kirk in and of herself is powerful enough to do this. I don't believe TPUSA is powerful enough to do that. But I do believe that the powers that be could have felt that Charlie Kirk was too powerful. Mm-hmm. Two different things. And that Charlie Kirk and TPUSA were too powerful. And so the figurehead of Charlie Kirk had to be removed. I don't know. I'm getting lost in the weeds. Yeah. But I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, at the end of the day, she has always been a attention and fame seeker. Whether or not that has moved on into her more adult Christian life now, I don't know. I mean, I've done a lot of things in my past that I regret, that if they were brought up, I would be embarrassed about.
Exactly, yeah.
And thankfully, I was not a public figure. I'm still not a public figure, but thankfully I was not a public figure and had access to the internet, and everything has been published. So you could go benefit of the doubt that way. Hey, she's done some things, some weird things. But it's not that she has done some weird things. She continues to do weird things, which kind of just puts you back to thinking she's just weird.
Yeah. I think it really is that. I mean, it really is. So I'm going to go down a little bit more of a rabbit hole too. And we're going to show some pictures and some videos. One of the things that concerns me is the Bible talks about, and I'm paraphrasing big time here, but we talk about the eyes being the window to the soul. Have you noticed her eyes? Have you noticed her looks when she talks? Have you noticed look at some of these videos and you tell me what you think.
Wants an answer to this evil. And sometimes the answer is very clear.
Yeah. We did what we usually did before tours. We said our prayer, and we asked the Lord to protect us, and we asked the Lord that His will be done. That's what we did.
It's one of those situations that it gets lost in the wash. But it's like the Nashville bombing. It's like the Parkland shooter. It's like the Vegas shooter. It's on and on and on. I mean, they'll be writing books about this. It's unfortunate that the loudest voice of question is also the loudest voice of insanity, and that would be Candace Owens. But the truth is, when you look at Erika Kirk, there is some strangeness there. There is some strangeness there. One of the strangest theories I've heard is that now this would go back to like if you were deep crazy. But that there is what are called the bloodlines of the Illuminati. And that there is interbreeding, intermingling, that behind the names and behind the scenes, there are bloodlines. And there are people, and here it is, buckle up, that claim that J.D. Vance and Erika Kirk are actually related.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because when you look at those eyes side by side and you look at the face structure and the symmetry of the cheeks, it's very, very odd. And then you look at that
I
hug.
think they share the same eyeliner too.
Yeah, the same eyeliner, absolutely. And then you look at that hug and it's like, wow, that's an intense hug, you know. It's very weird. Is it going to change anything? I don't think so. But you just wonder in your mind, who is Erika Kirk? You know, we have no problem on the right looking at somebody like, you know, Hillary Clinton. But it's like, if it's on our side, we leave them alone. But the truth of the matter is, there is high strangeness that is going on there. And, you know, I don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, I don't know how relevant TPUSA is right now. But when you look at her, it'll be interesting to see the next 3, 4, 5 years, you know, who she ends up with. There are even rumors out there right now that she's pregnant. I don't know if that's true or not. I doubt that it's true. And then there is the last theory that we talked about. I thought this was brought up today. We were looking at it on notes. And this is one last little kind of things that make you go, huh? Erika's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah,
Cabot Phillips. According to reports circulating online, Erika Kirk allegedly dated Cabot Phillips in 2017 before she met Charlie Kirk. Phillips has also been described online as now appearing publicly at TPUSA events and speaking at some rallies and college tours that follow Charlie Kirk's legacy, fueling speculation of his past connection. Yeah.
And influencer Andy Facilla, I believe is his name, he has a very interesting take on that.
This woman was tied up with this guy in Romania who's got these sex charges. Then you follow her through. She's allegedly in the CIA training video. Then, you know, now there's this Amazing Race audition video that they did with this apparent ex-boyfriend of hers, which she denies.
She tried to delete from the internet.
Correct. Yeah. Who then they both worked their way into Turning Point.
Right.
Okay. And now all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk is dead.
Right.
And they're running the shit.
Right.
And by the way, this is a 9-figure organization. This is not like a couple $1 million a year type deal. This is, and by the way, now they've stepped into that influential role, which is the more important part of who Charlie Kirk was influencing. Right?
But that's his take.
So what do you think of his take? What are your thoughts on that? Is that even plausible, or what do you think?
Well, it's weird because again she goes on public TV saying I dated nobody for the 5 years leading up to the time she met Charlie Kirk. Except she did, and didn't admit it. I don't know how you would forget that.
Yeah.
And then that same guy you dated is now in TPUSA working his way up through the ranks.
Yes.
And so what Andy over there said is he believes that they're co-conspirators in this.
Okay, so
which is really dark if that's the case.
So when we talk about, I mean, would they have the power? Would they have the power to be able to take someone out like that? Or would they have to have somebody help them? And if they had help, who would be the agency of the force that would help do that?
That's the question.
That's the question.
That's the question I have no answer to.
So one of the problems that I've always had is if you're going to do that, why would you make it like that? Why wouldn't you just give him a drug in his sleep and say he died?
Yeah.
You know, why make it public like that? What does it serve to do that public?
Public sacrifice?
Some people argue that it is a public sacrifice. Now, that is an interesting thing that we've studied out here because down through time immemorial, you have had in pagan cultures that were satanic public sacrifices, not private, public sacrifices. Now, it's very interesting the difference between the tabernacle and paganism. The tabernacle sacrifices actually happened inside the tabernacle outer veil. It was not a public scene. The only publicity would come afterwards when the high priest would come out on the Day of Atonement and say, that it is finished. But the actual sacrifices and the blood was actually brought into the temple for God. Whereas it's the exact flip in the occult and in paganism. The sacrifices are public, and it's a display. So there has been an argument down through the years that some of these sacrifices, some of these assassinations, I should say, the assassination of John F. Kennedy being a high-profile one, the assassination of Martin Luther King, on and on and on, the assassination of John Lennon, some people have argued, and the assassination of Charlie Kirk were public sacrifices, right? So, it kills, no pun intended, it kills two birds with one stone. It takes out who you need to have taken out, but it also appeases, quote unquote, the gods. I don't know. I know when I stood there in Daly Plaza and we did the investigation, I know that there's something very eerie and very spiritual and very religious about that area. It's interesting to me that right after Sandy Hook, they tore down Sandy Hook. You have that same feeling. I remember being out there at Waco, leveled Waco. I remember being out there at Columbine. And when you drive out there at Columbine, it's an eerie feeling. And then here at the Charlie Kirk assassination, do you remember almost immediately they tore everything up?
Put concrete over it. But what's even stranger about this is at some of the TPUSA events, they have recreated the scene and made a photo op out of it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that which I think of all insensitive things, that would be probably the largest, the biggest, most glaring neon lights insensitive act that you could do is like, let's reenact this scene.
Yeah, not a memorial for him, but a reenactment of the scene.
Yeah.
It would be as if you said, hey, we're going to put you in a mock-up of the limousine that Kennedy was shot in. You'd be like, what? I'm sorry, huh?
Yeah.
Come again? That's odd. But that's weird, man. And you have to wonder if it's not mockery. And I think this connects in because in 2 Peter, it talks about how that these beasts, these unholy spiritual beings that appear to be human and interact with Christians, I believe during the tribulation period, it says they sport themselves with their deceptions. I think that there is a demonic enjoyment of the mockery and a demonic enjoyment of the emulation, of the mockery, of the stagecraft that goes into what they do. It's not just enough to kill, they mock, and that happened at the cross. We know that, right? It wasn't just enough to have him crucified. They had to mock him, which I believe was a spiritually driven reality. And so I think that happens here as well. So yeah, it's weird. But to go back to the question, I don't know that TPUSA has the power to pull that off. They would have to have one of two things: governmental power or private operator power. If you pull the private operator power out, you would ask yourself who in the American government would want that done. I don't know. Leftists, maybe. I don't know that would help your cause. Hardcore elitists that felt that he was a threat to the establishment. That could be.
Yeah.
Then you have to ask yourself, what about the Jewish connection? There has been and is an ongoing huge turn against Israel.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was not turning against Israel, but he was calling into question some of the things that the Israeli government was doing. Could they have been a part of that? It's a legitimate question. Could they have been a part of that? Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Doesn't change my dispensationalism, but it does go, wow, Jeffrey Epstein, the connection all the way back through Ghislaine Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, and her dad or her grandfather being connected with Israel. I mean, there's just a lot of connection there. And that's the thing that you run into. When you look at Erika Kirk, I guess what we're getting at is it's time to say it. This is not just a grieving widow. She is a grieving widow. I'll give you that. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But there is some really, really large, big dots there that I think there's so much noise it's hard to find clarity, but there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it, man? What do you think?
Yeah, 100% I agree with that. And I think from my point of view, again, if something like that were to happen to me, one of the first things I would do, I would address a lot of the discrepancies to just put those fires out, squash them, whatever way you can. Naturally, you might just be ignoring them to not give them any life to them.
Yeah.
But I just think by letting a lot of these things go, it's just letting a lot of these theories just grow legs and just keep growing.
I agree. Well, listen, we've exhausted it. I mean, we don't want to go down the rabbit hole of going, this is true, this is true, this is right. We're not, but we're just saying that something is weird. Something is odd. And I believe that that's part and parcel of the end time in which we're living. And let me say it like this, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but here's what I want to say. There are no more good guys. There are no more good guys. There are no more good sides. There are no more. It really is the Wild West, I think is a fair way to say it. There are no more good guys. There are evil and lesser evil. And I think as a Christian, as a dot connector, as a soul trapper, we have to understand that. When we find to some degree good, we need to accept that. I think that there was some good that came out of the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think there was some good that came out of the Charlie Kirk memorial. I think there's been some good that has come out of this whole thing, but it doesn't mean that the thing is good. And so I think that we have to recognize that that's where we are. There are no more good guys. There is evil and less evil. And that's the world in which we're living. And it makes it very complicated because we sometimes we have to side with the less evil against the more evil. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump. I don't think it's left or right, Republican or Democrat, high taxes or low taxes. I think it is the spirit of Antichrist that has washed over us almost overnight. And I believe it started in 2016, not Obama. I think it started in 2016. And the question now is, where do we go from here? And I, as we said in a previous episode, I don't see a way out of Donald Trump. I don't see that. I could be wrong. We could get another Marco Rubio. We could get another Gavin Newsom and life go on. But I just don't see a way out. I think we're right here at the terminal end. For the world, it's a scary place to be. For a Bible-believing Christian, even so, come Lord Jesus.